in the world that happens without the mention of M-Pesa. So Esther must be very happy to hear this being repeated multiple times. I think government, we are represented here by John Okiwiri. There's been a commitment to the ICT policy, as you have heard from the ICT Authority CEO and also the Principal Secretary who spoke much earlier. I think as you introduce yourself, my question to you to begin with is, what would you say contributed to this success of making Kenya's Silicon Savannah ecosystems, and what can other African economies also learn from these advancements? So I'll start at the very end with JP, and then we'll move across and up to Eva. And just remember to also just give a brief intro of yourself as well as we do that.
Thank you very much, Leon. I'm glad to be here as part of this summit that's going on in our country. My name is John Paul Okiwiri, the CEO of Konza Technopolis. In Konza, we are building the Africa's Silicon Savannah, and we are at the forefront of ensuring that our country is digital transformed by ensuring that we lay the necessary infrastructure that will make our country and, of course, Africa at large be ready for this digital transformation. Thank you.
Brenda?
Good morning. Thank you. So my name is Brenda Mbathi. I'm the CEO of Two Rivers International Finance and Innovation Center Special Economic Zone. So very similar to John, but mine is a privately owned special economic zone within the Two Rivers ecosystem, which is within the UN diplomatic blue zone as well. Do you want me to answer any particular question?
Okay, let's move on with the intros, then we will come back to that question.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Isaac Kamuta, and I have the privilege of running the payments business for EcoBank Group, based at our head office in Lome. But I'm also a Kenyan, and so this is home. And we have also a thriving business here, EcoBank Kenya, that's part of our group, 34-country network in the continent. So very, very pleased to be here and looking forward to the discussion.
Okay.
John? Jambo, good morning. My name is Jonah Adams. I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. I work with InterSwitch. I'm one of the managing directors of the 6 business divisions. As InterSwitch, we're a payment company, we're a fintech. I think we're the first, one for Leon, we're the first African unicorn fintech in Africa. We have operations in 4 countries, and we're currently serving customers in 26 African countries. So a pleasure to be here and looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you, Jonah. Eva?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eva Ngige Sarwari, and I'm the country manager for Visa in Kenya. And I don't think I need to introduce Visa. I'm sure each of you, including Esther, have a Visa card.
All right, thank you very much. I think I'm going to actually start with you, Eva. So Visa unveiled the first dedicated Sub-Saharan Africa Innovation Studio in Nairobi. Is that true? And so how is this innovation hub contributing to co-create Kenya's and Africa's future ready payment, commerce solutions? What really are you doing with this in Africa Innovation Studio?
So in a quick 1 minute, let me build into the context on why Kenya was the appropriate location for the Visa Innovation Studio. Over and above being, the Silicon Savannah or the heart of the Silicon Savannah, we have a very enabling macroeconomic environment. I think the only year our GDP did not grow was during COVID, for good reasons. We also have a very deliberate regulatory environment when it comes to promoting innovation within the financial services space. But over and above that, and this has been mentioned quite in many of the conversations this morning, there's been huge investment in infrastructure that has made interconnectivity possible. So all those have been, like the right ingredients to drive innovation. So it was a no-brainer to set up here. But when I talk about what we've seen as the success of that investment, one has been to the collaboration that we've seen come out of that of that investment. So it's over and above being a place where we innovate, obviously employing the elements of human-centered design, where we innovate for people and we innovate for problems that we truly face as Africa. So we've seen a lot come out of that, whether it's innovating for the agriculture value chain, whether it's, partnerships with Fintechs who are just beginning to conceptualize the idea of providing payment solutions, taking them through, the series of things they need to think about, not just innovation, not just experimentation with new technologies, but also thinking about security. Because without trust, then we cannot accelerate digital payments. Without confidence, convenience, ease of payments, then we can't achieve what. So those are some of the things that we've been able to do. And then thirdly is the community engagement. So we've done a lot in terms of driving financial education. Esther talked about digital literacy being one of the things that we need to address to continue to advance digitization of payments or the growth of financial technology. So we've done a lot with different sets of communities, the fintech community, with government, with school-going kids, to just make sure that everyone is moving along together in the same pace.
Great. And as a follow-up question, I know one of the regions that you take care of is South Sudan, and there's not so much conversation about South Sudan and fintech and growth and what is Visa doing in South Sudan, in relation to this same question of innovation, and because that's your space, that's your forte. We don't talk about it so much in most of our forums, but we'd really like to also get a feel of that.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting question. So if you look at the interconnectivity of the East African community, it's only right that we move collectively together, and that's one of the appreciations that we take as Visa. So for South Sudan, we are one of the few bold ones that have gone in there, so we're the only international scheme present. So most of the banks, local, international, are Visa members, and what we're doing is to provide one, capacity, because we need to make sure that we have the right skills to develop the right payment solutions for the market. We also have some very good engagement with the government in terms of helping them build a proper financial infrastructure to be able to drive digitization of payments. But most importantly, is working with key stakeholders. I know earlier this year we announced a partnership with M. Gurush, who's a big player within that space, huge agency network, has done quite a bit in terms of mobile payments. So enabling the stakeholders who are playing in that space, with secure technology, with that global reach, to make sure that the South Sudan people are not left behind by when it comes to offering digital financial services.
Thank you, Eva. I think I once came across a conversation and a statement that there's no shortage of problems to solve in Africa. And I think if we can understand that in the fintech world, then we can begin to build solutions that talk to those problems, as opposed to technological masterpieces that we have been used to build as tech companies. And because you mentioned government quite a few times when you spoke, I want to jump off to Mr. Okiwiri. And my question to you, Okiwiri, is what is government doing? In particular, policymakers in the ICT sector. We saw Stanley here and the PS speaking into some of the things they're doing. But I think, could you give us just a bit of deep dive into that a bit? Regulatory oversight from central bank, other related entities, and what you're doing, especially when it comes to your role in Konza City, that really speaks into positioning Silicon Savannah as a global BPO, an innovation center, and just how is this playing out from a government perspective and also from the Konza City perspective? Thank
you very much, Leon. As you mentioned, government's role is to provide an enabling environment for innovation and the private sector to thrive. So you find that in Kenya, the government of Kenya established the Vision 2030, which has provided the framework within which innovation ecosystem and also fintech, financial technology has been able to thrive. You look at through the policy framework that the government established, the national ICT policy, it provides the framework which is now enabling fintech to thrive. And you've also seen that, you've also looked at the Vision 2030, which established Konza Technopolis. And when you read through the Vision 2030, it establishes Konza Technopolis as this platform that will provide the future of our country. And in Konza Technopolis, we've been able to provide the necessary infrastructure that is now ready to enable technology thrive in as far as National Data Center, which has been established in Konza Technopolis. And you know, for fintech to thrive, you need a lot of storage. And government has established that, a state-of-the-art National Data Center in Konza Technopolis, which is now ready to enable technology to thrive. Government has also established an environment, necessary regulatory environment through the Central Bank of Kenya. You heard when His Excellency, former Minister Moses Kuria talked about how M-Pesa was approved. And you realize that if it didn't take a personal intervention of the then former minister, then maybe we would not have M-Pesa today. But you realize that after that, the government has been able to provide the necessary regulatory environment to allow technology to thrive. And that's why today in this room is full of experts in technology, because government has provided that enabling regulatory environment. Government is also conducting a lot of PPP, public-private partnerships. You've heard Visa, what Visa is doing in as far as fintech is concerned, what governments have done through the AU, the Africa Free Trade, Continental Free Trade Area, by establishing the digital trading protocols. All these are efforts that the government is doing so that the private sector can have an enabling environment. In Konza Technopolis, as a vision, we've been able to establish the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science Technology, which focuses mainly on STEM. And it is a graduate-only school that will enable researchers to introduce innovation, knowledge, economy, and also commercialize knowledge and innovation. And these are all efforts that government has done to ensure that the environment created enables technology to thrive. You've also seen what the PS talked about the 100,000 kilometers of fiber. That's all about connectivity. And our country is highly connected. What Safaricom has done with 5G network, this is one of a kind. And you'll not find it anywhere else in other jurisdictions. But then Kenya has established this environment to enable our technology sector to thrive. So all these are efforts that government is doing, including also skilling and upskilling of our young population to take advantage of this digital transformation. Thank you.
Thank you, Okiwiri, because I was actually going to ask you a follow-up question around digital jobs, but I'm not going to ask you that question. I'm going to go to Brenda, because the whole conversation about creating digital jobs, one of the things that we've seen in Kenya's Silicon Savannah success factors, it's been the great pool of digital talent, that native talent, incubation, working hubs. There's so much going on around that space to launch and expand tech innovations globally, stemming from this region. So what is TRIFIC doing? How is TRIFIC playing a part in this digital transformation, especially because you collaborate with government as well.
Thank you. So TRIFIC is a special economic zone, and a special economic zone has SNZ incentives. And these are incentives that have been there since 2015. Not many people know about them. We're the first privately owned special economic zone that deals specifically with business services. And when you look at business services, that does really target the digital talent. When you talk about how do we retain and nurture digital talent, I think it's something that even Esther alluded to, that we all have our role to play. But I think giving them opportunity. When we look at Africa, the African population is going to double in 25 years. Double. We're 796 million, we're going to become another 796. So something has to give. When we look at the opportunity is in fintech, it is in digital talent. What we sometimes don't realize is that we actually have great talent on our continent. And I have to put it out here, Kenya has perhaps what I would say. Now I want to hear what my Nigerian brother will say, my South African sister will say, but we have to spice it up. We have great talent. And the thread in this talent, believe it or not, is the way we speak English. The way we speak English. We are deemed to be accent neutral. And when you're looking at digital jobs, when you're looking at global jobs, it is that that's on offer. And it is that that's giving, as C.S. Korea had alluded to, the gig economy. That is where we are seeing a growth. And this growth in digital services in the last 5 years has grown to 22%. It's silent. People don't realize it, but it's there. And what do we offer as an SEZ? We offer an ecosystem that allows you to optimize your businesses, which can be large or small, to take advantage of SEZ incentives so that you can either grow or you can just have a better, healthier P&L. We also have offerings in the SEZ where you can come in and work from a one office desk, or you can have a whole floor. We have accelerators that are there, fintech accelerators, that are there to support startups and scale-ups. And they do this by also nurturing the talent with different programs. We're proud to say that we will be home to the largest BPO in the world, offering a lot of employment to talented Kenyans. And through this, we are also then doing our work in the space of offering employment, but they do it in an ecosystem where they can thrive, yes, in the SEZ that we offer, but also because of government incentives. So I think you see how we all come together to play this role. And I just want to say, we do it in a green environment, and that's another thing that Kenya can offer. But for us at Two Rivers, we have the largest solar plant in Nairobi County. We offer 9 ISPs that come in, so you will be supported digitally and technically. We also have the largest reverse osmosis water treatment plant. So all the water in the ecosystem gets recycled and also goes and waters our environment, where we're committed to keeping it 30% green. And that is very important when we look at our world and our environment today. So when you say, what are we doing? We're doing a lot.
Honestly, I think they deserve a round of applause. That is so amazing what TRIFIC is doing. And I wouldn't have known that if we were not sitting on this panel. And I hope you're taking notes where you're seated and listening to what they're doing and what opportunity you can tap into. Some of us here should definitely have a conversation with Brenda after this. And speaking into talent, it's so interesting because the talent, I don't want to go into talent wars. I think Esther and I had that, and Isaac as well, we had that fight in Naivasha a couple of months ago. But there is a great pool of talent to tap into. there are initiatives that are being done by various institutions to build that talent pool. I think Moringa School is doing an excellent job in Kenya. We recently partnered with them as the Association of Fintechs in Kenya. So it's interesting to see that. The talent war bit, you'll always hear that fight between Microsoft, Safaricom, and Google. So that will never end. But I want to jump to Isaac, my friend, Kamuta. The last time we sat in a panel, it almost went south because I am a recovering banker and you're still a banker, and and we had to really come to a consensus on where fintech and banking lies. But EcoBank has recently launched a very interesting campaign, a better way, a better Africa. What is the role of EcoBank in Silicon Savannah? How are you fostering this discussion of financial inclusion? How are you driving it in Kenya? Is it rapid transfer service power across border, or is this just straight? Who is EcoBank in this discussion today?
Yeah, so thank you so much, and it's such a great honor to be on this platform, and especially with our friend Okiwiri from Konza Technopolis, and of course Brenda, and talking about the things that they are doing. Let me start just by introducing EcoBank a little bit so that you can see the context. So we are a Pan-African organization present in 33 countries in the continent of Africa, and we have one international office in Paris. But at the heart, we are a fully African organization. And when the bank was started, the people that founded the bank really wanted to connect Africa. That was actually the reason why the bank was started. That's why they didn't want a Kenyan bank or a Nigerian bank or South African bank. They wanted a Pan-African banking organization. And so from the start of this inception, it was built to connect Africa and remove the borders that exist in the continent, so that if you are trading, you are a businessman, and you're moving from one country to another, you don't have to experience that friction of borders. That's why the institution was started. Now, coming back to the question of the campaign that we are running and what we are doing to help. So first, we believe that Africa, that there should be frictionless payments across the continent. The border should not exist. And we realize that Africa is not one country. There are 54 countries that all have got different aspirations. But we believe that those borders should not exist when it comes to trade, when it comes to doing payments. And so what are we doing? The way we have positioned ourselves, we believe that first of all, the fintechs have a huge role to play in removing friction, solving very specific problems that traditional banks have not been able to solve. And we believe that by helping fintechs connect Africa, we can be able to contribute to that, to that case. So what do we mean by that? There's no fintech today or any institution that wants to end up in one country. And I like what Brenda was saying about just we look at the population that's growing. Everybody wants to be able to serve as many people as possible. So if you start up a company in Kenya, as much as we love this country, but you want to be able to expand those services, to be able to offer the same service across multiple countries. And I think that's where we come in. EcoBank here in Kenya, which is one of the financial institutions here regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya, is part of the 34 network of EcoBank countries. Is connected. They run one technology, they run one infrastructure, that connects all our countries, enabling us to be able, for example, to move payments seamless and instantly across that network. So if you are a fintech, for example, that is thriving at Konza Technopolis or whatever service you are in, what EcoBank does, what EcoBank aims to do, is to be able to provide you that connectivity to be able to access 33 countries with one connection. So you don't have to go and start, getting integrated in Ghana or in Togo or in Cote d'Ivoire or in Cameroon. Anytime you want to access any of those markets, you come to EcoBank. We'll give you one connection that gives you 33 countries in one go. And so by doing that, we believe that we can be able to support the fintechs, that are doing business here. Even our colleagues from M-Pesa, we're always talking to them and telling them that the day you want to expand M-Pesa beyond Kenya, EcoBank is happily waiting there to provide you with that connectivity. And most important is the ability to be able to settle value instantly without relying on external networks. Whether it is Swift or and all those other names that I don't want to mention here, you can be able to terminate transactions across those networks, leveraging the infrastructure that we have been able to build. So we believe that any fintech that is attending this conference and anyone that has ambitions beyond, going beyond one country, we believe that that should be our small contribution in helping this, Savannah, take off by just giving you that access beyond your home market. And that's why we are here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Isaac. When I began, I said that many years ago when we were talking about M-Pesa, we dismissed it in bank boards. And I think, Esther, you just received a pitch from a bank because Kamuta has told you that he can open up 33 markets for M-Pesa. I think you're in 6 markets already as M-Pesa Global. And that's interesting to hear what EcoBank is capable of doing. And we have actually Jonah Adams here who can tell us a bit more about InterSwitch. The InterSwitch discussion, first of all, I have a history with both InterSwitch and Visa, a very interesting history. InterSwitch supported me when I was head of digital at Family Bank to launch the first ever Visa card for the bank. We were a 100 branch network without a Visa card. So I worked with your team. I think Romana was there at the time. It was very interesting to see what InterSwitch could do for banks at the time. And I'd like to get your perspective, especially with I think you formed you have a strategic partner status with SEI last year. That allows you to operate across multiple markets. Can you tell us a bit about that and a bit about what InterSwitch is doing in this discussion that we are having today?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think first thing is just talk about what we're doing in Kenya. InterSwitch has been in Kenya now for 10 years. We have an operations here in Westland. Again, I agree with what the lady has said. Kenyans represent some of the best talents within our pool. We're trying currently to build 2 centers of excellence here in Kenya. We're trying to build out capabilities to host and manage engineers that will do projects out of Africa from Kenya. One of the things we've also seen is the depth of the mobile engineering team in Kenya is very deep and very strong. So we're also trying to build out a center of excellence here. Talking about some of the things we've done in this market as well. The market has the big advantage of having the benefit of Safaricom, who was way ahead of the curve in terms of fintech, in terms of payments. They've started doing mobile 10 years way before most of the other markets, okay? So the market has that advantage, and as InterSwitch, we've leveraged that capability. To speak of our strategic partnership with ACI, we've been ACI's partnership now for 20 years. And in that partnership, one of the things we've done is to help them build out their business in Nigeria. And we've been very successful with that. We had 100% market share, 7 banks, 7 fintechs, and government with their technology and their infrastructure. Some 2-3 years ago, we decided to grow that partnership across Africa. And we worked with the ACI team out of their London office, and we signed last year, June, a strategic partnership to get access to ACI latest technology, okay? If you look at what's going on around the world, you will see now that there's a big push around real-time payments, okay? ACI has the best-in-class technology for real-time payments around the world, okay? Just to give you a few examples, the technology that drives the United States first now instant real-time payment system is built on ACI infrastructure, Indonesia, Malaysia, India, in Europe. So what they've done as part of that partnership is to give InterSwitch the ability and the capability to roll out that technology across Africa. Currently, we're working with all the banks in Nigeria to, if you like, modernize their infrastructure to the latest technology that ACI has given to us. So that technology allows us to also serve ACI customers in 33 markets. Currently, we're having conversations with banks and fintechs in Kenya. We hope that we will be able to make success and at least contribute a little bit to the growth of instant payment infrastructure. I know you have PesaLink. We're hoping that we can do something interesting with that. And the benefit of that partnership for Africa is really to help Africa leapfrog. You know, that's usually the challenge. We normally come at the end of the curve, we try to solve African problems, but with this partnership, we hope we can push the entire national infrastructure, bank infrastructure, fintech infrastructure, using the latest best-in-class technology. So that's what we're doing across Africa.
Thank you so much, Jonah. I think that's great insight. Before I ask my panelists to give their expectation and prediction of where Kenya will be as a fintech ecosystem in the next 5 years, I have a question for the three people on my left, because and this question is really about how you characterize Kenya's tech ecosystem compared to other markets. Remember, this panel is about focus on Kenya. How do you characterize Kenya in comparison to the other markets that you operate, as InterSwitch, as EcoBank, as Visa? What are these unique attributes that have led to Kenya being referred to as the Silicon Savannah? And I'll start with Eva at the end, from a Visa perspective, then from an EcoBank perspective, and then from an InterSwitch perspective. So very briefly.
So one disclaimer, my role is not to pontificate. This is purely an observation. I think given the fact that we have sort of, as a country, and so I'm speaking purely here as a Kenyan, I think the fact that we've gone ahead has given a lot more experience. So there's obviously an edge when it comes to experience. There's an edge when it comes to the governance framework, because the regulator here has been deeply involved in what's happening in the digitization of financial services. So that edge obviously is a distinction. And then there's a point around talent, and I'm not gonna enforce that further. I think the third one is capital. I mean, the fact that there's been a flow of capital, that also gives a boost to our fintech. So the ability to expand regionally has then been a lot easier for them.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So I'll touch on 2 points, actually. I think the first one is M-Pesa, okay? I've had to, in the course of my work, I've had to go into several markets. One of the things that you try to find when you go into any market is to find a major player that has built that ecosystem and has made that ecosystem available to the rest of the fintech industry, okay? If you go to most markets, what you'll find is 2-3 players, okay? But Kenya is one of those unique markets where you talk to M-Pesa and you have the market covered, both in scale, in size, and in capacity. The second thing I'd like to talk to is, one of the big ambitions for most fintechs is how many industry verticals can we digitize? And I'll tell you, one of the things that we try to do very well in Nigeria is to try and digitize as many industries as possible. A lot of work is ongoing, but what you find in Kenya, and again, kudos to the M-Pesa team, is they've successfully not only innovate across multiple verticals, they've also been able to scale those things. So look at what they've done in insurance, look at what they've done in, and then that has created, because what you find is once the first one goes in, all the other fintechs come in and then try to disrupt the fellow. It's good for this thing, but those are the 2 big things that I see that is interesting in Silicon Savannah.
Oh, excellent. M-Pesa, again, being mentioned. So, Isaac.
Yeah, so I think when I look at Kenya as a country, I think one unique thing about Kenya is that it's a very open, Kenyans are very open-minded. They are happy to try something. They are happy to take a road that nobody else has tried, even if it means they fail. And I think if you look also at the education levels here, which is come back to the talent that my colleague was talking about, the talent, the understanding, it just creates an environment where new solutions can be quickly adopted. I think Kenya has been able to take advantage of that and be in the forefront of many platforms. But we're not just mobile money. Even you look at instant payments, EFTs, which have now nobody talks about, RTGS systems. Kenya was in the forefront of launching those things. And so it created what I call a pocket of excellence that I think is something that can be exported to the world. But if you go to the other countries as well, it's not that they don't have anything. They have also been able to build pockets of excellence. For example, if you go to Nigeria and you look at the POS as a payment instrument that has been so successful in Nigeria, it's something that I think you can look at and say, wow, this has been very successful. So they also have got something to show the world. If you go to the WEMWA countries that share the common currency, you go there and find 8 countries sharing one currency. And you can move from Mali to Burkina to Niger to Senegal, and the currency is one, and it works, and it's all interconnected. That is something that the Western countries, African countries have to, to add. And the CEMAC region as well, they have the same common currency. So what I'm saying is that I think Kenya's built a pocket of excellence, which I think has served us well. But the other African countries also have something to offer. And at the end of the day, it is all brought together into an African success story, which I think we should all be very proud of.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Isaac. I think you've summed it up very well. I have the privilege, because I wear another hat as Senior Vice President for Flutterwave in East Africa, and we have a partnership with EcoBank, and I can attest to some of the things that EcoBank is capable of doing for fintechs of the scale and size like ourselves. And my final question is to the two of you: what is your prediction? Expectation, prediction for Kenyan fintech ecosystem for the next 5 years, then we can wrap up this.
Thank you. I'll go first. I don't want to predict, but I want to just take a tidbit from what everybody said. I think Kenyans are open, innovative, willing to try. So I'd like to ask everybody in this room to look at ways to explore, to look at ways to collaborate, because everybody has something to bring to the table. So we at TRIFIC, because I have to make a plug, we're open for the startups, for those who are bigger businesses. You just need to be eligible to show movement of capital, so it could come in from a funder, or it could be something that you're exporting a service across. But what I want you to ask is, it could be your next big opportunity, and it's available, so consider it. So I'll make a plug for tomorrow's tours. TRIFIC is one of your eco tours. Please come and see what we have to offer. We're 10 minutes away, and we're truly open to see if we could be your next big opportunity.
Thank you so much, Brenda. JP, close for us, your expectation, your prediction for the next 5 years for the Kenya financial ecosystem.
Thank you, Leon. Looking at the foundation that the government has laid, and also looking at the plan that we are implementing in as far as digital superhighway is concerned, the future looks very bright. Also looking at the infrastructure in terms of the green data center that is being implemented in Naivasha, Kenya is going to be the global home for data, creating an enabling environment for fintechs to thrive, and Kenya is going to be the hub for digital transformation.
Thank you so much. I thank you so much to the panelists. We are not going to have an audience Q&A because the questions that I've asked actually came from you. So I'm going to just ask you to appreciate a round of applause for the panelists. Thank you very much. They will be around. They are available. Please reach out to them if you have any question. I know most of us have a question for Okiwiri because he's the government representative. Let's take a moment to just engage them, especially as we are having the tea that is coffee that is ably sponsored by Flutterwave. Thank you very much.